Hi everyone, welcome to today's video. My name's Stephanie and today we are looking at a second summer release from ILNP with their Socialite collection. First off, I want to give a big thank you to ILNP for sponsoring this video. So while that means I'm being paid to swatch and share these with you all, my thoughts and opinions are honest and my own, the same as with my non-sponsored videos. As you can see, this is a little trio of these really warm, almost golden hour glowy vibes, all magnetics, but two of them are this new magnetic ultra metallic combination formula. So I will share some more of my thoughts for the end of the video after comparisons. For now, let me just show you the swatches. The first polish we have is Signature, and this one is described as a mauve rose base with a pink to gold magnetic shimmer and a delicate copper sparkle. This had a pretty nice formula. I would say a little bit more on the jelly leaning side. I think maybe I just happened to not grab as much polish as I normally do for the first coat, so it does look a little extra sheer, but other than that, the formula was still really nice and easy to work with, and I would say it built up pretty nicely in two coats. It generally is just more sheer than I like personally when it comes to magnetics, especially in the cat eye effect, but I think some of that unevenness from the first coat is showing through a little bit, especially near the tip of my nail. So I did end up doing a third coat for this one, and you can see it definitely does deepen up quite a bit, where I feel like it does lean a little bit more brown than I was expecting it to be and not as rosy pink. And for the velvet effect, I'm starting with one coat just applied straight on my nail and doing the second coat while in the horseshoe magnet, and you can see it magnetizes so beautifully, super easily. Definitely the plus side when it comes to jelly based magnetics. It just looks very glassy, and I would say it's pretty opaque looking to me on two coats, at least compared to the cat eye like I mentioned before. And also I have the unmagnetized state on the right in two coats as well. And lastly, I also wanted to show the glass bead method, which I personally like using the 3D printed spinning tool from 5D Print Factory. For full disclosure, they sent it to me in PR to try out, and I like it. I mean, I've only tried a couple of the DIY glass bead methods and they were okay, but you know, this is just easy enough to use. You just paint your coat, put your finger in the middle, and start spinning. It's best to spin for longer, because if you spin for less time, it's not going to hold the magnetic effect as well. It's just kind of the same as magnetizing any other technique. So you can see for my full hand swatch, I did the glass bead on my pointer finger, which is looking a bit more diffused, then the velvet effect on my middle finger, cat eye on my ring, and unmagnetized on my pinky in two coats each with a glossy top coat. I'm still not convinced I love this base color on me, but I really love the magnetic shimmer. It is just so beautiful going from that pink to gold. Then we have Old Money, and this is a pale gold magnetic loaded with reflective silver metallic flakes and holographic sparkle. I do want to note, when ILNP says reflective in their description, they don't mean like reflective glitter, just reflective as in a very high mirror-like shine. So I'm going to be applying these ultra magnetics kind of as is without magnetizing them at first, just because I really like the look of them a lot more this way. So you can see from that first coat, it is very full coverage. There's just a little hint of sheerness, but it's basically fully opaque in just two coats. And yeah, like I said, I really love it in this state. I find the color to be super flattering. Once it's velvetized, you can see how that silver magnetic shimmer gets pulled to the top. So I feel like it just leaves this sort of brassy color underneath, which is also what you see when it's in the cat eye effect. And it's just personally a little too dark for how I like my golds. So, you know, it's just a personal preference thing. But again, the coverage is really great. I feel like there's a hint of my nail line in two coats, especially for my full hand swatch here. So I decided to not do a third coat just because I feel like it's so blinding between the silver magnetic shimmer and the ultra metallic flakes. And the last shade in the trio is Rosé, and this one is described as a warm rose magnetic loaded with reflective silver metallic flakes and holographic sparkle. And again, they don't mean reflective as in reflective glitter, just super shiny flakies. This pretty much had the same sort of formulation and application as Old Money, where it's really pigmented on that first coat alone. There's just a hint of sheerness and visible nail line, but it's pretty much fully obscured in the 2 coats. Specifically, if you're wearing this unmagnetized as seen here, or in the velvet effect, because I feel like the base of this one and Old Money just have a little bit of that metallic sort of formula, and combined again with those ultra reflective silver flakies, it's just so blinding of your nail line. And similar to the last shade, I would say that I still prefer this one unmagnetized, but also closely followed by the velvet effect, just because I love that silver flash. And the cat eye, unfortunately, is my least favorite, but you do get more of this darker rose gold color there, along with the glass bead effect, assuming you do have like a really tight bead. Also, I forgot to mention the Holo sparkle in this shade and the last shade is pretty subtle, definitely very secondary compared to the magnetic shimmer. And here is my full hand swatch collage of the Socialite collection. Again, 2 coats each with the glass bead on my pointer, velvet on my middle, cat eye on my ring, and unmagnetized on my pinky. Moving on to comparisons, we're starting with Signature, and I first wanted to see this next to Rosalie, or rather see if I could recreate it using Rosalie with Sandbar on top. First, I'm showing just Rosalie next to Signature in the cat eye effect, and you can see how much more brown Signature is. I was kind of hoping it would be a little closer to Rosalie, and while Sandbar looks like a warm, almost coppery shade in the bottle, layering it over Rosalie doesn't really give the same warmth that Signature has, because it just doesn't have that gold. For some cracked comparisons, I thought I could maybe do the same thing with Warm Skin and Hush Hush, because Hush Hush looked a lot cooler toned next to Signature, so I thought layering that over Warm Skin can kind of neutralize it, or just have Warm Skin give the warmth that Signature has. It's not exactly a dupe, but it is honestly closer to what I wanted from Signature, just being a bit more pink leaning. And I also wanted to show Hush Hush on its own next to Signature, so you can see it is a bit more cool toned, a little bit darker and more brown as well. Also missing that gold shimmer, so I thought I could maybe add that with Cirque's Nectar on top, and it kind of recreates the vibe but isn't an exact dupe. Lastly, for reference, I thought some other shades that maybe would be close included Glitch's Pink Lemonade and Mooncat's Sand Viper, but as you can see, they are very different. The Glitch is a lot lighter, a lot more pink, and the Mooncat is also lighter but more desaturated. Next, for Old Money, I first wanted to show this next to Cirque's Sunkissed, just to get a reference of the shade of gold. Obviously, Sunkissed is more of a topper, so it doesn't really compare that way. If anything, I would say Old Money is a lot closer to some Holo Taco shades like Coin Toss or Beach Please. I guess technically between these two, it looks a lot closer to Coin Toss, just obviously a different formula, but depending on the lighting, the silver magnetic shimmer in Old Money can kind of look like Beach Please. And from Mooncat, I pulled out I'm a Mother Effin' Supernova and Fake Halo, which I feel like look more similar on camera than they are in real life, so I did end up comparing these on the nail, because usually you're able to see the difference better once it's on the nail, but I feel like I'm a Mother Effin' Supernova was looking really close to Old Money, but it's actually not. I would call it a pale gold, but it's noticeably more yellow than Old Money. I actually think Old Money might be closest to Mooncat's Treasure Trove, which was a dearly departed shade from years ago, I think. The Mooncat isn't as metallic necessarily, but just color-wise, it looks pretty similar. I think Treasure Trove might also be a reflective glitter, or have some reflective glitter as well, so it does have that gold and silver color combination. Next, for Rosé, I first wanted to show a photo comparison with Pink Suede, because I can't find my bottle in my collection and I'm pretty sure I didn't destash it, but overall Rosé is just a much darker and I would say warmer shade of pink, and obviously a lot more metallic looking. So I think the closest shade that I had to this was Mooncat's Velvet Rose, which was a dearly departed from, I believe, earlier this year or last year, but it's a very similar shade of that pinky rose gold gold color. It has a silver magnetic shimmer in there. The main difference again is that the Mooncat is not metallic, but it does have this silver hollow flake in the background, and it's a little bit more full coverage in 2 coats as well. So even though I knew these weren't going to be close color-wise at all, I figured I could still show Rosé next to Halo and Remix from the most recent Euphoric collection, just because those are also really shiny, flaky finishes, but they are not ultra metallics. For color reference, here is Rosé next to Empress, which is their rose gold metallic flake topper. Obviously, very different formulas, but color-wise, they're kind of close. The only other ultra metallic that I have from ILNP is Daydreamer, which I picked up almost 2 years ago, and it looks rose gold, but it was originally a much lighter sort of pink color. So I think now it is a little bit darker than what Rosé is, and since that is just a plain ultra metallic and without the magnetic, it is slightly different visually as well, where you see more of that jelly base in Daydreamer as opposed to a metallic base in Rosé. And for reference, I also have Pink Lemonade, which has a much stronger yellow flake. I have a few more bottle comparisons, mainly for color reference. Here it is next to Kiss and Tell and Pixie Party, which are a linear hollow and shimmer respectively. They're just some warmer shades of pink, but not really rose gold. And lastly, from Holo Taco, I pulled out Menchie the Cat and Pretty Privilege, which are just some icy silvery pinks, but obviously a lot lighter and cooler toned. So that wraps up my swatches and comparisons of ILNP's Socialite collection. This little trio is going to be launching this Friday, June 12th, so I will have ILNP's website linked down below if you want to check out more swatches of them. But yeah, I would love to hear your thoughts on these because I personally am a little torn. Don't get me wrong, I think these polishes are so beautiful. Like, the gasp I gasped when I opened the email showing off these polishes, it is just so stunning, like everything I dream and love for summer. The vibes are so immaculate, the sparkle is insane. But my main gripe is just the ultra metallic finish, where if you don't know, the flakes that ILNP uses, specifically in the ultra metallics line, from my experience, have a tendency to tarnish over time. It can be years, like my very first ultra metallic was Juliet back in like 2015, and I feel like I had that for at least 5 years before it started to tarnish and change into this like really dark bronzy color. And the most recent one that I bought was Daydreamer, which is another beautiful pink ultra metallic that I picked up not last Black Friday but the year before that, and I feel like looking at it, you know, a year and a half later, it's already starting to lose a little bit of that bright pink color that it originally had. There's just something about those like specific flakies that make it look, you know, incredibly mirror-like, shiny, so reflective and beautiful, but they just don't last a long time. So it's just such a shame because it really is such a beautiful finish. Like, I can't get over how pretty and shiny and sparkly my nails look, but just for me personally in my collection, this is not something that like is for me. If you happen to have a smaller collection, or you are just somebody who constantly rewears like the same polishes and you can make a dent in your polishes, then you know you don't have to worry about like the tarnishing, I don't think. But as most of you probably know, I have over 1,000 bottles of nail polish, so it is pretty hard to go back and rewear shades often enough. I feel like for some of these shades, like the gold, I think is so stunning. Like, I love that shade of gold, but realistically I would only wear it maybe around the holiday season, you know, as like an accent nail. Even the rose gold I would put in that category. They just aren't shades or finishes that I would reach for super often compared to like shimmers, for example, that I just reach for constantly. But that being said, I do think they are so incredibly stunning, like if I couldn't emphasize that enough. And I also think it is cool to see just a new finish from ILNP. ILNP, like them combining the ultra metallics with a magnetic, because I feel like it does give a really nice subtle twist to an already super sparkly shade. And speaking of magnetics, I thought I was going to be safe with Signature just being the plain magnetic of the trio, because when I saw the email for these, like my jaw dropped. I think the photo that they took was just so stunning, just truly so up my alley as far as like the vibes and the color palette goes. And I thought that Signature was going to be my top favorite because it isn't an ultra metallic, but unfortunately I didn't end up loving it on me as much as I thought that I would. It's just a little bit darker than what I was hoping for, but it is still such a beautiful, beautiful shade. Like I still can't get over the golden shimmer in here with the magnetic and how dimensional it looks. They are still just so, so pretty, and it just like pains me that I feel like they're not really meant for me. You know what I mean? That might seem kind of silly or just over dramatic, but ILNP is one of my favorite brands. And again, just seeing this lineup, I'm like, they are so beautiful, but it just doesn't work for me or for my collection. But everything else about them is fantastic, as expected with ILNP's formulas. So yeah, I can't wait to hear what you think down below so we can chat about it. But thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Thank you again to ILNP for sponsoring this video, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye!